is one away.
That's only Valdespin's 8th strikeout this entire season through 28 games. I was about to say that he doesn't strike out that much. So a great start from Beeler to strike out one of the best hitters in all the Atlantic League.
A 1-out, none-off for Emilio Bonifacio. Might be my favorite name to say in the Atlantic League. It just rolls off the tongue. Emilio Bonifacio. 324, good for 8th in the league. No home runs, 8 RBIs for Emilio. Batting here from the left side against Skeeters right-hander. Dallas Beeler squares the bunt here as well. Takes it for a ball high. 1 ball and no strikes to count. Wind blowing in very hard from right center. This is normal Constellation Field weather. It is hot, it is humid, and the wind is blowing in from right. Not that a Sugarland native would know anything about that, Will Scott. Shadows also all the way across the mound, creeping towards second base already. This one is high. 2 balls and no strikes to count.
Not only does Bonifacio have a fun name to say, but he's probably a name that most baseball fans are familiar with. 11 years of Major League experience.
And to get into more of his career during his next at-bat, the 2-0 here by Beeler. This one is a strike on the outside corner. Umpires today is Jesse Moreno is the home plate umpire calling balls and strikes. Joe Harris is at first, and John Severe is the third base umpire. Beeler, fairly quick worker. I mean, he's no Brett Marshall, but who works that quick, really? This one, a strike on the outside corner as well. 2 balls and 2 strikes with 1 out, none on. Top of the first just underway in game 1 of a 3-game set here between the Skeeters and the Ducks. Is this too hot for you now, Mr. Go to Syracuse?
I'm not complaining about too hot after coming back from Syracuse.
This one swung and missed, strike 3 as Beeler strikes at 2 former big leaguers to start this one. Second K of the day, 2 away, and that'll bring in Travis Snyder. Wow.
Yeah, this is really impressive from Beeler. And you know, you just mentioned that he struggled getting past 3 or 4 innings this entire season. His last start was his first start getting past 5 innings. So he just struck out the first 2 batters for Long Island. Good start for Dallas Beeler.
Well, in steps Travis Snyder, the left-handed hitting right fielder. Get to his repertoire here right after this pitch. This one is swung and grounded foul behind home plate. No balls and 1 strike. So for the 3rd straight batter, he gets ahead. Beeler features a fastball 88 to 91, a changeup and a slurve. And this guy was a former big leaguer, 88 to 91. You see about the same with Marshall, about 88 to 92. And you know, all the pressure put on. We have to have hard throwers, whether you're a starter, middle reliever, or closer. If you don't throw 95 plus, well, here Beeler was a big leaguer and he's throwing, 91. So I think you really have to take every guy into consideration. I mean, you look at some of the soft tossers that have had phenomenal big league careers, even Hall of Fame careers, and I think too much pressure put on the guys that throw hard. The 1-1, swung and miss, and really not so much pressure. It is scouts aren't looking at them anymore, which I think is sad.
Well, you want guys that can get the job done. I mean, if a guy can throw 99 but has a 8.56 ERA, you don't want that on your team. You want a guy that, like Dallas Beeler, who has a solid ERA and can throw about 90, 91.
The 1-2, swung and tapped to the right side of the mound. That's going to sneak through for a base hit just to the right of second. So after striking out the first 2, one with 2 out for cleanup hitter and veteran Lou Ford. Jamie Moyer, maybe the softest tosser ever. I mean, he had 260-plus career wins. I mean, he's a guy in this day and age that sabermetricians were looking at him like he had no chance. That's 260 victories you would have lost out on.
Yeah.
And Moyer pitched till he was 48.
I don't understand it because even some guys, as we approach the MLB draft, that have above 4.50 ERAs, they're being talked about as a first-round pick just because they can throw 100 miles an hour.
No question. This one is high. The guy I always think about was Todd Van Poppel, who got drafted by the Rangers, and Scott Boras was his agent. Actually had in his contract he had to be in the big leagues by 3 years. Ready or not, had to be in there. Got to the big league level, struck out the first 5 guys he faced. This one is grounded foul just to the left of home, 1-1. And all he had was a fastball. And then major league hitters caught up to him, and that was all Todd Van Poppel's career. That was that. So you can't just come up, throw smoke, whether you're ready or not, or have no other pitches. I mean, big league hitters, they're going to catch up with you if you only have fastball, even if you throw 103. The 1-1 by Beeler. This one is swung and fouled off to the right side, especially to a guy here like Ford. I mean, this is a guy who can get 2 hits pretty much anytime he wants. He is a .330 career hitter here in the Atlantic League. Also a Texan, though now he makes his home on Long Island. Went to Texas A&M, Seminole State College before he went to Dallas Baptist, but that's where his career took off in his junior year and got drafted by the Red Sox. This one swung and a miss, strike three as Beeler strikes out the side. Also on a roll here is Skeeters shortstop Alvaro Rondon.
And the defense for the Long Island Ducks. Left field is going to be Robert Garcia. Center field, Emilio Bonifacio. Right field, former Blue Jay Travis Snyder. Third base, it's going to be Taylor Ard, the newest Long Island Duck. Shortstop is going to be Dan Lyons. Second base, Jordani Valdespin. First base, Alex Soul. Catching Ramon Cabrera. And then, of course, pitching Matt Larkins.
Larkins 1-1 with a .286 ERA, making his fifth start. First pitch here is a little bit low and in. 1 ball and no strikes. Barnes comes in .253 with a home run and 6 RBIs, but if that's all you see, you're not seeing the big picture here. He is first in the league in both hit by pitches and walks. He is also second in runs scored, and we're just about to getting how good of a hitter he is as he hits this one up the middle for a base hit. Barnes came in the last 8 games hitting .391. That hit is now 10 for his last 24.
Yeah, he's on a roll, and he got off to a really rough start. His ERA dipped below 180, or excuse me, his batting average dipped below 180. But since he's really picked back up where he left off, and he's been playing really well.
Then steps Albert Cordero, riding a 10-game hitting streak. Last 13, however, he is just destroying it. 24 for 52, a .440 mark. Take a look at that hitting streak right after the first pitch here as the switch hitter batting here from the left side against the right-hander Larkins. Swan is fouled off to the left side. No balls and 1 strike to count here. Let's take a look at that hitting streak now here for Cordero. Last 10 games, he is hitting .462, going 19, .441. No balls and 1 strike to count here on Cordero. Also second in the league in total bases with 63. This one swung and hit high in the air to right center, playable. Coming in is Snyder as that wind keeps blowing it down, and he'll bring it down for out number 1. So 1 on and 1 out here for Derek Norris. Norris 247, 3 home runs, 17 RBIs. And Norris, if you look at the bigger picture, he has actually not hit as well as he has over his last few games. But in his last 3 games, 4 for 11, a 364 mark, but even better over his last 2 games.
Yeah, his last 2 games, 4 of 7. And you said that one of those doubles should have been a home run in Long Island.
3 of those doubles should have been home runs. He could have had back-to-back multi-home run games. I mean, he absolutely destroyed it. And if you're in Constellation Field, the walls in New Britain are about 3 times the size of the walls here. So he hit off the top of the wall for those 3 doubles. Would have been all home runs here, and of course a grand slam on top of it. So Norris locked in right now. Also really seeing the ball, and I said this about Barnes, that he was going to start hitting. He's drawing a lot of walks. He was second in the league. Well, Norris, even during this slump, he's second in the league with walks with 19. So starting to pay dividends here over the last couple games. Swung a fastball strike right down the middle. No balls and 1 strike to count. Larkins, a big part of Skeeters history, he pitched game 2 of the Atlantic League Championship Series here. The Skeeters were already up 1 game to none. Pitched a phenomenal game, but he lost game 2 of the championship series as former Skeeter Michael Nix out-dueled him. As this one is swung and hit high in the air to left field. That high sky and the tough sun in left. Robert Garcia, the left fielder, is under it, and he'll bring it down as he fights that sun for out number 2. 2 outs, 1 on here for Skeeters cleanup hitter Courtney Hawkins. Well, in that game, too, allowed a run on 2 hits over 5 2/3. Picked up the loss only because Travis Scott hit a home run late in that game. Gave the Skeeters a 2-0 lead in that game, which was the final score. Also gave the Skeeters a 2-0 lead in the best of 5. The Skeeters would have the next day off, go to Long Island, and win the championship the following day as they went 10-0 down the stretch for their first franchise crown. First pitch here by Larkins to Hawkins. This one is a little bit high and outside, 1-0. Hawkins 250, first in the league in home runs with 7, first in the league in RBIs with 28. He's also tied for first in extra base hits with 16 and third in the league in total bases with 56. They set up outside. Larkins will throw over to first. Diving back in is Barnes. Look for Barnes to go, who has 4 stolen bases, tied for the team lead with Anthony Jansanti. If Hawkins should go down in the count, say 1-2. No score here in the bottom of the first. Ira Liebman along with Will Scott. They set up outside here on Hawkins. Hawkins a little bit of a crutch. Another throw to first. Barnes back in, standing up. This time a little sidearm flip by Larkins from the mound.
You mentioned Hawkins leading the league in RBIs. He had 15 in the last homestand against Southern Maryland, but only 2 on the road, and both of those came against Somerset on May 24th.
Going to get into some of those home road comparisons here if we have some time, as this one is swung and I missed. Well, now a better time than any. Well, the Skeeters are 12-4 here at Constellation Field compared to 6-6 on the road, but the difference is the run scored, Will. Skeeters have outscored their opponents here at home in Sugarland 105 to 60. But out on the road, the Skeeters have been outscored 48 to 53. So a little bit of a difference. This one swung and missed, 1-2. Look for Barnes to go here now with Hawkins down 1-2 with 2 outs here in the bottom of the first, no score.
Marshall was saying that it was 55 up there in New Britain. I mean, do you think the cooler temperatures could play a role?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly harder to get a grip on. The baseball is also very wet, so we saw a lot of errors in that series, and also kind of hard to grip that baseball. The 1-2 here by Ducks right-hander Matt Larkins. Barnes does not go. This one hit hard to third, but right at the newest member of the Ducks, Taylor Ard. Throw across the diamond in time, 5-3 in the putout, and that will do it. So the leadoff single wasted by Barnes as they do not even get him to It'll be Ramon Cabrera, Taylor Ord, and Alex Soleil. In steps Cabrera, 364, no home runs and 2 RBIs. Cabrera, very interesting story about his dad. Get to it during this at-bat here. First pitch, he's down the middle for a strike. Well, Ramon's dad, Alex, was a star player in Japan. He played for the Diamondbacks just briefly. It was his only major league appearance in 2007. But then he went to Japan for 11 seasons. And Alex began playing in Venezuela in the Winter League when he wasn't in Japan. He continued to smash, setting home runs records. 21 in 2013 in the Winter League for Venezuela. And that was actually a record at age 41 years old nonetheless. Played for 2015-2016, led the league in home runs, and his final season was actually last year in the winter, 2016-2017 at age 44. But he spent from 2011 to 2012 in Japan, he hit 49, 55, and 50 home runs in consecutive seasons. And his final season, and then he had 124, 115, and 112 RBIs during those 3 seasons as well. The final 2 seasons, he also hit 336 and 324 in 2002 and 2003. During his 24-year career playing in professional baseball, he hit 520 home runs and 1,496 RBI. So his dad was quite the player, to say the least. During that one season in the bigs in 2000, he hit 263 with 5 home runs in 31 games. The 0-2 on the outside corner, strike 3 as Beeler continues to ring up the Ducks. 4th K of the day in an inning and a third. All his outs via the strikeout. And there's one down. I'll bring in Taylor Ord, the newest member of the Ducks, just signed just before the game today. Spent time at AA in Miami system. Alex Soleil on deck, and let's see if Beeler can continue the strikeouts. Shadows now all the way past the infield, and right fielder Kali Kubica also in the shade, but center fielder Barnes and Hawkins still in the sun. First pitch misses for a ball. 1 ball and no strikes to count here. Beeler winds and fires the 1-0, and this one is clubbed into left field. Hawkins couldn't see it. It'll fall in front of them for a base hit. So the second hit against Beeler, 1 on and 1 out for Alex Soleil.
So Taylor Ord not looking so rusty right there. Single in his first game with the Ducks. You know, normally when a guy gets signed, you don't really expect him to get going for a while, but it's a good sign for Long Island to see a guy get a hit in his first step out of the season.
By the way, temperature 90 degrees currently, 9-mile-an-hour south winds, and 53% humidity. Certainly not terrible for this time of year, but it's going to get hotter as the week goes on. It will be 99 on Sunday. That won't come out as less than at least 100. This one is fouled into the net. No balls and 1 strike to count here on Soleil.
I refuse to complain about these temperatures. I've had people tell me that, oh, you know, I would take 3 degrees in Syracuse over 100.
Now you see how much of that fallacy that is coming from here. Yeah. Makes you appreciate the warm weather here a little bit more now.
Oh, my goodness. I'm not complaining.
This one foul just to the left of the on-deck hitter, Soleil. And quickly, no balls and 2 strikes to count here.
You are, of course, a Long Island native. If anybody knows, it's you about the weather up there.
No doubt. Looks like it's going to be a short summer on Long Island. Sometimes you get those 6-week summers, and it's brutal after you wait all winter. They got pounded this year on Long Island with snow, as did the rest of the state, and only have a short summer. The 0-2, just a little low. Didn't miss by much, just below the knees, 1 and 2. 1 out, 1 on. No score here in the top of the second. Ducks have struggled a little bit with their offense lately. Still 4th in the league, though, at 265. The Skeeters are first, however, at 283 as a team. Needed home runs, walks. This one swung and missed, strike 3. 5th K of the day, and there's 2 away. All 5 outs recorded by the strikeout. 5 Ks through an inning and 2/3 here by Beeler.
5 strikeouts and 2 singles. But Dallas Beeler looking good here early. We knew it was going to be a potential pitching duel coming in. Both guys with pretty solid numbers, but wow, 5 strikeouts for the first 5 outs for Beeler. Didn't see that coming.
Well, in staffs, Robert Garcia, The left-handed hitting left fielder, 163, 2 home runs and 7 RBIs. First pitch check swing. Did he go? No. 1 ball and no strikes to count. I'll take a quick look here at the pitch count here on Beeler, or strikes to balls. Pretty much what I thought. 28 pitches, 20 for strikes. 1-0 the count here on Garcia. Beeler stands in at 6'5", 225, the former big league Tulsa native. 8 years as a pro for the Skeeters right-hander. The 1-0 check swing, but that one right down the middle for a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike to count.
You mentioned Garcia's 163 average. He was actually 0 for 10 on the year before he went 2 of 4 in Sunday's win against Somerset. So he's now 2 for 14 on the season.
The 1-1 coming here from Beeler. A kick, fire, and this one just misses inside. 2 balls and 1 strike to count. Very close.
Garcia, kind of a local guy from Eldwood Park, New Jersey, not too far from Long Island.
Further than you think with traffic. Much, much further.
I'm still kind of learning that area up there, but you're right, traffic's not fun.
This one is chopped foul at the plate. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 1 on. Top of the second, no score between the Skeeters and the Ducks in game 1 of a 3-game series. Let's see if Beeler can strike out the side for the 2nd straight inning here. He's 1 strike away. Beeler gets the sign here from Derek Norris. He will set up inside, and the 2-2. Swung on and missed, strike 3. As Beeler strikes out the side for the 2nd straight. We move to the bottom of the 2nd. The Skeeters are trying to strike first. Dallas Beeler on a roll. He has some momentum going. He has struck out 6 batters through the first 2. Let's see if the Skeeters can get some runs for him. Dennis Phipps will lead it off and swings and misses at an off-speed pitch. No balls and 1 strike on Phipps. It'll be 5, 6, and 7 for the Skeeters. Phipps, Matt Chavez, and then Kyle Kabitza. Skeeters no runs on, Ducks no runs on 2 hits. The Skeeters no runs on 1. Batting here for the 2nd time. This one just misses a little bit outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Well, you mentioned earlier, Will, that Larkins pitched in Australia. That's where I first met him, in Australia. Former Skeeter had host family over there. Went over to see some Australian League baseball, and host family there was Matt Larkins staying with the host family. So that was the first time I met Matt. spent some time in the American Association before joining the Ducks late in that.
You worked for Team
2016
Australia, didn't you?
In the World Baseball Classic. Yep, that was fun. This one swung and a miss, 2-2. Didn't realize, and I think a lot of people didn't, how good Team Australia really was and how good they are in baseball now. It's slid a bit because they're not able to develop as many players in the ABL anymore because it was once owned by the U.S., who brought a lot of U.S. players over, which didn't allow the Australian players to kind of develop a bit more. And then it's now owned by a Japanese league, and so now there's more Japanese over there. So it's kind of holding back a little bit of the development of Team Australia. But when you go back and look at that 2009 team that was in the World Baseball Classic, quite a few big leaguers, guys you didn't know were from Australia, and just a really good team. They were a few outs away from beating Team Cuba and going to that next round, but just fell a little bit short, 4 outs away.
When I looked and saw that Larkins played for Melbourne in the Australian League, I was hoping that their mascot would be the kangaroos or the koalas or something, but
Melbourne Aces.
It's the Melbourne Aces.
Flying ace kind of a thing. Payoff pitch here to Phipps. Larkins deals, and this one is fouled off to the right side. So Phipps will see a 7th pitch here.
Isn't it remarkable that Phipps' average has gone up to 341 this quickly? Because he started 1 for 12 on the season, and since then he's 14 of 30.
You got to remember kind of what you were talking about with the Ducks' newest member, Taylor Ard. He hadn't played for a bit. This one is hit into left field. Will that fall in? No, right into left fielder. Garcia charged it, then kind of had to go from sunlight to shaded. Almost misjudged that. The line out is out, number 1.
First base number 16, Matt Chavez.
No score here in the bottom of the second. 1 out, none out for Matt Chavez. 354, good for 6th in the league. A home run, 17 RBIs. He is also 3rd in hits with 40 and 4th in the league in extra base hits with 52. Righty-righty matchup here. First pitch by Larkins. This one swung and fouled just to the right of home. No balls and 1 strike to count. No score here in the bottom of the second. Chavez last 4 games, 4 for 16, a 250 mark, a double, 3 RBIs and 2 walks now. And really blowing in hard from right center, which means the ball will blow out for right-handed hitters, but won't do much for lefties here as usual. The 0-1. Swung and fouled off to the right side, 0-2.
Yeah, that average was at 400 going into the road trip and dipped all the way down to 354. Seems like the whole team just plays better at home, like you mentioned earlier. So hopefully he can pick back up where he left off.
It's been tough on the road, some close games and some cold, wet weather. The 0-2 by the right-hander for the Ducks. This one is sent into right center field. This one has some mustard on it and some carry, but tracking it down is Emilio Bonifacio, and that's the second out. That's now 5 straight retired by Larkins after the leadoff single to start this one by Barrett Barnes. That'll bring in Kyle Kubica. Kubica 253, 3 home runs, 22 RBIs, 22 ribbies, good for 3rd in the league. Kubica last 8 games, just 206, going 7 for 34. A double, a home run, but 8 RBIs during that 8-game trend. In steps the left-handed hitting right fielder. No score here in the bottom of the second. This one swung. The first pitch popped up left side. The shortstop, former Gold Glove winner Dan Lyons, will bring it down. Ducks. The number 9 hitter, Dan Lyons, will lead it off. Then back to the top of the order with Jordani Valdespin and Emilio Bonifacio. Lyons 200 on the nose, the dreaded Mendoza line, with a home run and 12 RBIs for number 12. First pitch here by the right-hander. Dallas Beeler is swung on, popped up right side. First pitch, Matt Chavez, the first baseman, coming in towards first, and foul territory, gloves it to his left as the ball took off on him. A foul out to the first baseman. The first out recorded not via the strikeout for Beeler, who was struck out 6 through the first 2.
Yeah, breaking news, not a strikeout for Beeler, but I guess he'll take that. You know, 1 pitch, 1 out to start the 3rd inning.
If you're not going to strike out a guy, get him on the first pitch. Well, this time's Jordani Valdespin, former big leaguer. I was working towards a big league job after quitting school in the 4th grade. I told my mother that I didn't like school, Valdespin said. She wanted me to get a diploma, but I knew baseball would be the best way to help my family. This one a strike on the inside corner. Jordani grew up in San Pedro de Macorís in the Dominican Republic. Idolized Jose Reyes, who has taken the youngster under his wing when he got to the Mets. They were double play partners briefly in 2011 spring training while with New York. The 0-1 from the Skeeters right-hander. A strike on the outside corner, 0-2. Veteran Carlos Beltran took Valdespin under his wing as well in that same spring. In 2011, he sat down with Valdespin nearly every day and told him that the opportunity will not always be here, and really needed to make him understand that. While at Double-A in the Mets system, he played for now Bees manager Wally Backman. This one swung and a missed strike 3, and I guess the drought didn't last long. He gets another strikeout. 7 Ks over an inning and 2/3. 2 innings and 2/3 for Beeler. What a roll he is on. Last time out from Marshall, who we had on the pregame show, set a season high for this season, 8 Ks. He's got 7 and 2 2/3.
Our highlighters are getting some work in tonight, Ira.
Yeah, I got 3 now, so I'm good. I got 2 backups. In steps Bonifacio, who, surprise, surprise, struck out in his first at bat. He's 0 for 1. This one high and tight as Bonifacio goes down to 1 knee as he ducks his head back to avoid getting hit by the pitch. 1 ball and no strikes here on Emilio.
Emilio had a great start to the season, but in his last 10 games, he's just 10 of 43 with a .232 average. Is struck out in 7 consecutive games now after Beeler K'd him in the first.
Bonifacio said he started thinking about pro ball as early as age 14. Bunt towards third. Cordero has it. The toss across in time, and that'll do it. Welcome back here to Constellation Field, bottom of the third. Skeeters batting for the third time. It'll be Anthony Jansanti, Alvaro Rondon, and then back to the top of there with Barrett Barnes. So three pretty good speedy leading men. First pitch was a strike to Jansanti. This one is shot foul off of third. Juice couldn't flag it down there at third. Poor Juice. 0-2 the count. Anthony comes in at 274. 3 home runs and 10 RBIs. Anthony a little bit of a slide. Last 8 games, just 5 for 29. 172 mark.
He went 2 of 24 on the road trip after a strong homestand versus Southern Maryland.
Maybe he'll get back on track with some home cooking. Although he had some home kicking, as this one is on the outside corner, strike 3. Connecticut native went back, played New Britain, and got to stay with the family. That's actually the first strikeout for Larkins, who locked in a pretty good duel here with Dallas Beeler. He has retired 7 straight Skeeters after the leadoff hitter got a hit. Alvaro Rondon will step in. Rondon 263, no home runs, 10 RBIs, but he is destroying the baseball. Last 9 games hitting 379, going 11 for 29. A double, a triple, 6 RBIs. Left-handed hitter squares to bunt here, but bunts it foul. Back behind home plate, no balls and 1 strike. No score here in the bottom of the third between the Skeeters and the Ducks.
Yeah, Rondon really got it going in those last 3 games against Southern Maryland, then carried that momentum on the road trip, which a lot of our players didn't do. A lot of guys went on a slump during that road trip, so good to see Rondon get some hits.
This one is high and outside. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out, no score here in the bottom of the third. Skeeters trying to strike first here. Larkins so far has been unbelievable. He's thrown 27 pitches through 2 1/3, 21 for strikes. This one popped up right side. That one going to be over the Skeeters dugout. 1 ball and 2 strikes here on number 7, Alvaro Rondon. Scoreless contest here in the bottom of the third. Rondon's got plenty of speed. See if he can get on here. Down in the count, however, 1 and 2. I don't know who's pitching better right now, Larkins or Skeeters right-hander Beeler. The 1-2 by the Ducks righty. Way inside 2-2.
Both are being just as effective. Beeler just has 6 more strikeouts than Larkins does.
Kind of our conversation on the pregame show. Hard thrower versus a guy who's just getting people out. Larkins rocks and fires the 2-2. Swung in, hit past the mound, but a slow roll towards short. Behind the second base bag is Lyons. Gets the speedy Rondon hustling down to first. 6-3 on the putout. 8 straight retired by Larkins, and they only got to reach and get a hit. Will step to the plate, leadoff hitter Barrett Barnes. 253 for Barrett with a home run and 6 RBIs. And before I can even get the words out of my mouth, that he's been on a roll. Got a hit on the first pitch of the ball game. Came in batting .391 over his last 8 contests. So in steps the Skeeters right-handed hitting center fielder in a scoreless game here in the bottom of the third. Larkins very efficient. Just 30 pitches through 2 2/3, 23 for strikes now. First pitch misses a little bit outside. 1 ball and no strikes to count.
Yeah, Barnes is on an 0 for 14 slump going into the Southern Maryland series, and has kind of picked it back up since then.
Larkins 6'1", 260 pounds from Moscow, Idaho. This one misses. 2 balls and no strikes to count.
Don't see many Idaho guys playing baseball.
Yeah, there's a few, just not a ton. Not exactly a hotbed with all that cold weather. That's why they all come from Florida, California, and Texas. You can play year-round. You're going to produce more players. 2 balls and no strikes here on Barnes, who steps off.
I believe that Idaho, or excuse me, the University of Idaho is one of 3 schools to have a dome as a football stadium.
No kidding.
I bet you can name one of the others.
There's one in New York. This one is hit high in the air to left center field. Who's going to be the left or center fielder? It would be the center fielder. Bonifacio calls off Garcia. Still scoreless here. Great duel between the Skeeters right-hander, former big leaguer Dallas Beeler, against righty Matt Larkins. Beeler back to the bump. Beeler will face 3, 4, and 5. Travis Snyder, Lou Ford, and Ramon Cabrera. 7 strikeouts through the first 3 innings for the Skeeters right-hander, Dallas Beeler. Swung and a miss here. No balls and 1 strike to count. From what you're watching, what's Beeler really so effective with here today? He's getting all those strikeouts.
He's got the fastball. He's a pretty tall guy. He's pretty lanky. It looks like he gets a lot out of his delivery. You can tell he's a guy that he uses that big frame to create some velocity, and I think you see a lot of late bats so far for Long Island.
Yeah, for some of the former big leaguers like Bonifacio and Valdez, which is really kind of bizarre.
And for a guy like Dallas Beeler, I mean, he didn't pitch last season in the 2017 season, so not a lot on him, especially coming off his surgery. And I mean, he's playing, like you said. I mean, you got a guy like Emilio Bonifacio who's got nearly almost a decade in the major leagues, and he blew him away in the first inning. A guy like Lou Ford probably has the most experience of any hitter in this league.
Lou Ford on deck. The 0-2. Swung in the dirt. 1 ball and 2 strikes here on Snyder, who has one of only 2 hits off of Beeler. He singled his first time up. He's 1 for 1. Came in batting .227 with 3 home runs and 17 RBIs. Beeler gets the sign from his catcher. Will kick and deal the 1-2. Swung a hit towards short with a little bit of a shift on. Rondon is there. He'll fire it to first, and there's 1 down. 1 on, none out here for the aforementioned Lou Ford. Surprised Lou doesn't get the old Lou Piniella chant in Long Island. Lou. He doesn't. But he is a Texan. Steps number 20. There's a very slight crouch from the right side against Skeeters right-hander Dallas Beeler. This one is a fastball strike at the knees. No balls and 1 strike to count on Ford. Guess that makes him Ford tough, huh?
Got saving all the Lou Ford puns for the 3rd inning.
This one is swung and chopped foul back into left of home. Oh, and you mentioned Lou went to Dallas Baptist, and in his junior season, finally got a chance to sign with the Red Sox after his senior year. But in 1999, he helped Dallas Baptist to the NAIA World Series. He got drafted by the Red Sox in the 12th round later that year. The 0-2. Swung on a miss, strike 3. Gets Ford now, too. That is 8 strikeouts on the night. Beeler carving up the ducks, if you will, which is a nice dish on Long Island. Known for its duck. And steps Ramon Cabrera, who struck out his first time up. He is 0 for 4. Excuse me, 0 for 1. Was the 4th strikeout by Beeler. Came in 364, no home runs and 2 RBIs. Mention about his accomplished father, who played pro ball for 24 years. Slow ground ball to second. Jansanti charges it, flips it to first, and for the 2nd straight inning, a 1-2-3 inning. That is now 8 straight retired by Beeler. Larkins has 9 straight and is terrific. We move to the bottom of the 4th inning. No score in this one. Ira Liebman as I go to the broadcasting bullpen. And Posner joining me here.
Good to be back.
This one is swung and fouled into the net in front of us. As Cordero has an 0-1 count on him. Flied out to right his first time up, running a 10-game hitting streak. Oh, he's 0 for 1. Came in second in the league in hitting at .393, 5 home runs, 18 RBIs. And you got to think he's got to cool off at some point.
Yeah.
But he hasn't even for a day or two.
Yeah, I mean, the 10-game hitting streak is almost kind of minuscule by how great of a season he's had.
This one hit deep to left center field, going back and tracking it down over his left shoulder was Robert Garcia. Nice catch by the left fielder. Made that look easy. Looks like it was ticketed for extra base hits. So Cordero 0 for 2 in his attempt to extend his hitting streak to 11. Now to bring in Derek Norris. Norris flying off the left his first time up. 247, 3 home runs, 17 RBIs for Norris. No score here in the bottom of the 4th inning. No runs on 2 hits for Long Island. No runs on 1 hit for Sugarland. Righty-righty matchup here for Ducks right-hander Matt Larkins. That is now 10 straight retired by Larkins.
Yeah, I mean, don't sleep on his outing yet either. I mean, he's not piling up the strikeouts quite as high, but just the leadoff single by Barrett Barnes, and that's been it for the Skeeters. And even that single wasn't necessarily that well struck.
The 1-0 here from the right-hander Larkins. This one is down the middle for a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. Bottom of the 4th, no score.
Derek Norris, I think one of those guys where the average doesn't tell the whole story. Now hitting .247, 9 of his last 11 hits have come for extra bases, including the grand slam he had in Sunday's win. So he's one of those guys where he's making his hits count for sure.
The 1-1. This one hit to left field. That is going to fall in for a base hit as Norris continues his good hitting. That breaks up the string of 10 straight retired by Larkins. A 1 on and 1 out here for Courtney Hawkins, who grounded at the 3rd his first time up. That is the first base runner since the first batter of the game. Larkins allowed a leadoff single to Barnes and retired the next 10 straight before allowing the single here to Norris.
Kind of surprised to see Courtney go to a couple more hitter-friendly parks away from Constellation Field. Courtney didn't leave the yard, still sitting at 7 and 28 on the RBI count, but still leading the league in both categories too.
First pitch here to Hawkins. This one is skied down the right side. This should make the seats and will here. Yeah, Snyder, the right fielder, runs out of room. No balls and 1 strike to count. No score here in the bottom of the 4th. Both teams no runs, 2 hits, and no errors.
Definitely a contrast we're seeing from this series, at least in the early going to the last series. You know, against Southern Maryland, we saw it in the first day when the Skeeters scored 14 runs in the opening game of the series. You know, it seemed like coming in from the East Coast, there were a little bit, you know, the pitching wasn't quite there. They were getting knocked around a bit. We've seen 2 great pitching outings to start this game.
The 0-1. This one is fouled into the net right in front of me and Ryan. No balls and 2 strikes to count. Norris certainly a guy who, say, not swipe a base, but he's a smart player. One of the smartest I've ever seen. He will take advantage of you if he can find a weakness or not paying attention to him. We saw that in the last homestand.
Say he had 2 stolen bases, and I think some of that had to do with being hit. He probably didn't take kindly to that. He wanted to do what he can to make it hurt for the Blue Crabs.
This one is low and away, 1 ball and 2 strikes. But if you try to steal against a guy after getting hit and you get thrown out, what did you really accomplish?
Yeah, I know. So yeah, you better make sure you get there. And I mean, he's one of those bases he stole was 3rd base too, and I think that goes to what you're saying about being a smart player, knowing when he can take a lead, get a big lead, and get a big jump from second base.
1 ball and 2 strikes. He will make some manager when his career is over.
Yeah, most catchers do. I feel like that's a trend.
The 1-2. Yep. All the good ones seem to be former catchers because you really know all aspects of the game. You know hitting, you know defense, you know the pitchers.
Yeah.
And a lot of position players, they know hitting and defense, but they don't really know pitching, although Pete and Corey Dom will do a pretty good job of kind of sharing their knowledge.
Yeah.
And pitching coaches make the worst managers because I think they always think like a pitcher, like, well, they can get talked into leaving a guy out because that's what they would want.
Yeah. Catchers, I mean, you said it, they have the most responsibility in the field, and when it comes to being a manager, that's all you want.
One popped up right side. This should make the seats near the Skeeters dugout. Both first baseman Alex Soleil and Ramon Cabrera will run out of room. 1 ball and 2 strikes to count.
And that's why it didn't really all that shock me to see Derek Norris hit a grand slam against Tyler Badama, because you know before every start that Tyler made with the Skeeters before he went to the Bees. He was in there, you know, they were working over what pitches he wanted to use in certain counts and stuff like that. I mean, nobody is going to have that knowledge other than Derek Norris and obviously the New Britain's catcher. So I think that kind of information goes such a long way.
Yeah, I'm taking that had something to do with it.
Yeah.
Madama told me in a pregame interview that Norris just watched him and he had his repertoire down, so
Yeah.
I'm taking he had it at the plate
Oh,
too.
absolutely.
The 1-2. This one hit into right field, but right at the right fielder Snyder brings down the liner for the second out. Retreating is Norris back to first. That'll bring in Dennis Phipps. Phipps lined at himself his first time up, but to left field. He's 0 for 1. So 2 outs, 1 on, no score here in the bottom of the 4th, and a heck of a pitching duel between the Ducks right-hander on the mound now, Matt Larkins, and the Skeeters righty and former big leaguer Dallas Beeler.
That kind of seems like it's going to be a battle of who blinks first here. Maybe it's coming down to a single, bunt a guy over, get a bloop single, and that could be it, or could see the bullpens totally fall apart.
Funny, I mentioned earlier, I told you earlier today that Larkins was on the hill in that game 2 of the championship series when the Skeeters won their ring in 2016, and he did much like this. It was scoreless, and the only blemish was a 2-run homer by Travis Scott, put the Skeeters up 2-0 and 2-0 in the series, and went on for a 10-0 run and won their first franchise championship. The 0-1 from the one-hander Larkins. This one is slap foul down the left field line hard. Now Phipps down, no balls and 2 strikes here.
I mean, look at the Skeeters lineup. I mean, there's really only one player, Alvaro Rondon, who's you're probably not worried about jumping the yard on you, but I mean, you got power, and we saw Dennis Phipps the last game of the homestand show that power, and that was one of the more impressive home runs we've seen so far this season. So it really only takes one swing when you've got a pitching duel like this.
No balls and 2 strikes here on Phipps. Larkins peeks over his left shoulder. Now Phipps asks for timeout here. Phipps' last 8 games, 14 for 32, a impressive 438 mark. He's really picked it up in a big way. Open stance from the right side, stands close to the plate, taps that front foot. The 0-2 reaches for it to stay alive, taps it foul. Slow grounder just behind home plate. Count remains, no balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Working the Southland tournament, which is at the ballpark here, and Billy Barton Jr., former manager of the Texas Airhawks, he popped in for a little bit. He's an agent now, so he was kind of looking at some talent, and he had very, very high praise for Dennis Phipps and Alvaro Rondon, 2 guys he used to manage in the Airhawks. And
guess Billy Ball lives, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And
grew up watching Billy's career. It was fun when he was a Yankee manager, even Billy Ball with the A's. Swanee is fouled into the net 0-2. Get a bat here by Phipps.
Yeah, it was weird. You know, it's like you see the son, and I mean, he's one of those. Sometimes you get sons and children who don't necessarily look like their parents, and he looks exactly like Billy Barton Sr. It was kind of almost eerie to see him pop in there for a little bit. But like, I mean, he said Alvaro Rondon played some of the best shortstop he's ever had a player. I mean, he spoke very highly of Dennis Phipps too, just the way he controls the bat.
Be another 0-2 pitch coming here to Phipps. Cabrera will set up away, and the 0-2 by Larkins. This one low, 1-2.
It's a good take there by Dennis Phipps. That's a tough slider layoff right there.
No question. Now 1-2. If Larkins doesn't pay attention to Norris, you could see him trying to swipe a bag here. See what Dino does. Look for Larkins to go outside again here. Probably another slider I'm going to take. The 1-2. Swung and a missed strike 3, and that will do it. Second strikeout for Larkins as he continues his dominance, and we are through 4. Your score, Skeeters. We move to the top half of the 5th inning. Skeeters and Ducks are scoreless here. Dallas Beeler on the hill. Beeler's first pitch here is a strike on the outside corner. 0-1, it'll be for the Ducks here. It'll be 6, 7, and 8. Taylor Ard, Alex Soleil, Robert Garcia. Joining me here in the booth is Mark Schlereth. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Excellent. So you're here to scout a particular player, if you will?
Well, I don't know about all that, but we've got some great friends here in Houston. Houston's been great to us. So my son Daniel plays for the Long Island Ducks, and we
That's what I
thought,
was hinting at, Mark.
yeah, what better time? And this league has just been, the Atlantic League has just been awesome. I didn't know much about it until just recently. But the stadiums are absolutely gorgeous, and the baseball is phenomenal. It really is good baseball.
That's one hit into right field for a base hit. And really, the Atlantic League has really prospered from a lot of those free agents that are still out there. All those, I keep calling them middlemen, because all those great guys like Derek Norris and a lot of these big leaguers on both sides here with the Ducks and the Skeeters, it's amazing that a lot of these guys don't have jobs. I think this league's going to change drastically by the All-Star break, because a lot of these guys will get picked up because of injuries and other reasons, guys getting demoted or what you will. But I mean, it's been great to watch these many big leaguers. Generally these teams have anywhere between 8 and 10, as this one is bunted foul. No balls and 1 strike as Soleil bunts it behind home plate. But this is amazing. I mean, the Skeeters, 14 of their 26 active guys are former big leaguers, so quite the talent.
Yeah, and I think the Long Island Ducks at one point had 16 guys that had former big league experience. So it's just been, it has been an amazing league to watch, and I have just had a blast kind of doing this. And you're right, there's a squeezing out of the middlemen in Major League Baseball right now, and they're trying to kind of adjust those rosters. But I'm 100% with you. At some point here at the end of June, beginning of July, there are going to be a lot of guys that played in this Atlantic League that are going to have opportunities elsewhere.
1 ball and 1 strike the count here to Soleil. The throw to first, getting back in, standing up. We're speaking to Mark Schlereth, and let's talk about what was a bigger stage for you, playing in the NFL, being on a soap opera, or being on TV, ESPN, and whatnot.
You know, I think the biggest for me, I'm far more recognizable as a television guy. 16 years at ESPN. I just moved to Fox last year and got a chance to do something that I always wanted to do that I was never going to get the opportunity to do at ESPN, which was call NFL games. And so
different doing play-by-play than studio work.
Yeah,
sure.
Absolutely. And you know, just the energy of being at a ballpark like this, and the energy of being able to call the game as you see it, and you know, not only to focus kind of myopically on the analysis at hand, but to be able to talk globally about what's going on in the game. I have found that very challenging, just a real blast. So
from the time you played till now, the NFL has really become a year-round thing now. It used to be draft time and you know, maybe after the season kind of a review of the season, but now it's a 12-month job.
It really is, and you know, there's different phases. The league has done a great job with creating year-round interest. You know, I always talk about you know, that you've got the season. Like right now, we're in the off season and the OTA season, and then you go to training camp, and then you go to the regular season, then you go to the playoffs, then you go to the procurement stage of football, where you're enhancing your roster through free agency, through the draft, and then you're right back into the OTAs phase of the season. So it just never ends here.
Wild pitch puts Taylor Ard to second base, and let's talk about your NFL career a little bit. You were in 3 Super Bowls, one with the Redskins, and I don't think people remember as much because you had 2 with the Broncos and Elway. But which was your favorite? You got to have. I know the first one is always the big deal, but was there a favorite for you?
Yeah, there was a favorite for me, and that favorite was Super Bowl 32, the first one that we won in Denver. In Washington, I was a young player, and it's funny. Youth is wasted on the young. We had such a great team that I just figured we were going to win 2 or 3 more. I mean, it was just like that's a foregone conclusion. And
I guess it's not always good when you win early in your career.
Right.
You don't appreciate it.
And then you have a couple of injuries, and you have a couple other things happen. You realize how difficult it is. But to come to Denver and to know the history of the league.
This one on the outside corner, strike 3 as Skeeters right-hander Dallas Beeler gets his 9th strikeout here in 4 1/3. Unbelievable. Beeler having a great night now. 1 on and 1 out here for Robert Garcia.
Yeah, absolutely. A little breaking ball there on the outside corner. He just bent it around the plate. That was a beautifully executed pitch right there. Anyhow, but going back to Super Bowl 32, knowing the history of the Broncos, knowing the history of John Elway, and them just getting absolutely lambasted by the Skins, by the Giants in the Super Bowl, by the Niners in the Super Bowl, to see him kind of quote-unquote get that monkey off his back and to go out there and play kind of for him when you're 13-point underdogs, that was kind of a euphoric feeling. I always say my first Super Bowl was relief because we were 7, 8-point favorites and we're the best team in the National Football League. My third Super Bowl, also relief because the same thing in 1998. That one in the middle, we were, like I said, 12, 13-point underdogs. That felt like euphoria. Like you weren't supposed to win it and you got to win it, and it was an amazing kind of accomplishment, a lot of fun.
Joined here in the booth by Mark Schlereth, who you probably know from ESPN, former NFL and former actor. And you grew up, as this one is a strike on the inside corner, 1 and 2 here on Garcia. You grew up in Alaska. I got to think that made you a little tough for the NFL.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of the road less traveled, obviously. But loved Alaska, loved growing up there, loved getting to visit there. But yeah, when you grow up in a place like that, and winter happens about 8 months of the year, it's just the way it works. And so, you learn to play football and do all those things. I mean, we used to have a weekend game on an ice rink, full tackle football on an ice rink. So, I don't know if that's toughness or just pure stupidity.
I guess it makes artificial turf look like cake, huh?
Well, the key to that game is east and west. It's not north and south. You got to go east and west. You got to get yourself to the board, stick your foot on the board so you can cut back the other way. That's how you play that game.
Another wild pitch here. That puts the runner at third. So Ard gets off of the leadoff single. 2 wild pitches sends him to second, now to third. 1 out. Now a sac fly could unlock this scoreless game here in the top of the 5th. 3 and 2 now the count on Garcia. We're joined here in the booth by Mark Schlereth. And when you look at your NFL career, what was the best player you ever played with? Was it Elway? Was it another guy? Was it somebody else earlier in your career?
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at John Elway just from a pure talent and understanding of the game.
Got drafted by the Yankees initially.
Right, and that guy was as good as it gets.
This one a little blooper, going to fall behind second base, and that's going to be the first run of the game as Ard comes out to score, and it is 1-0 Ducks here in the top half of the 5th.
But you go through life and you understand how gifted the athletes that you played with are, and it's really the guys that put it all together, not only the gift. And, because to play at any level, to play professional baseball, professional football, honestly, hand to God, you got to reach down and touch you and say, hey, you've been blessed. You win the genetic lottery, as we like to say. So that's part of the deal. But to have a career, you have to understand the game. You have to work at it. And there are so many gifted players that I played with, from the Charles Manns of the world to, I'll never forget watching Darryl Green in a sheeting rainstorm after 3 days of minicamp, where we practiced twice a day on the wet turf that's just soaking wet. There's standing water on the turf in a pair of old Adidas like you're not in track uniform. You're soaking wet. You've had 3 days of practice. Run a 4.28 in the sheeting rain.
And guess why he played till age 39.
Right.
Too many defensive backs play that long.
Right. And so it's just like there are guys that are just absolute freaks of nature, but the guys who last a long time couple that with great work ethic and great understanding of the game.
Diving back in here head first is Robert Garcia. We're joined here in the booth by Mark Schlereth. And I got to think Super Bowl with the big moments of your career, but what individual accomplishment was your favorite moment?
Well, I think the biggest thing, and it's interesting because, there's a lot of guys here like my son who have had great success early. And then, you get some injuries and you have some things happen to you and it derails your career to some degree. And you're fighting to get back. And I'm sure there are a lot of guys, my son included, that have thought about giving up and quitting and saying, hey, you know what, it's just not meant to be. And I think for me, the thing that resonates and the thing that I tried to impress upon my son over the course of the last couple of years, where it hasn't been as easy, is that
one swung and a miss, 0-2 the count here on Lions.
The biggest issue for me is I look back on my career and I can honestly say there's nothing else I could have done. I don't have one regret.
Left it all on the field?
Every bit of it. I got more out of my body than anybody has ever gotten out of their body that has played in this league, 29 surgeries and everything else. Oof. And so I'm like, make sure if it's over on your terms, because you can live with that. but don't walk away. And the saddest thing to me would be 5 years from now going, man, I still had something left, and I just didn't see it through. So that to me is the biggest thing. And this league is littered with guys who have come here and reinvented themselves and reestablished themselves and gone on to do great things.
This could be a double play. They go to second for one. The relay to first is in time. The old 1-6-3 DP, and that will. Welcome back to Constellation Field. Skeeters find themselves down 1-0 here as we move to the bottom half of the fifth inning. It'll be 6, 7, and 8 for the Skeeters. Matt Chavez, Kibitza, and Anthony and Jan Santi. Matt Larkins, first pitch in the dirt, 1-0. We're still joined here in the booth by Mark Schlereth. Talked about some of individual accomplishments. You were in 2 Pro Bowls. What were those experiences? You're playing with, it's like an all-star team in baseball. I mean, you're playing with the best players in the world. What were those experiences like for you?
You know, it's always cool to you know, meet the guys that you play against and meet the guys that you study. You know, as an offensive lineman, oftentimes you're following other teams as you're preparing for a certain defense. And I would always go, okay, give me film of Bruce Matthews. Give me film of Steve Wisniewski. Give me film of Will Shields, because I want to see how they played a particular guy. And sometimes I go back 2 or 3 years to watch how one of those guys would play a certain guy and then see what I could steal from that game plan that they went in with. And so all of a sudden you're playing with those guys, and it's a pretty big accomplishment. It's a pretty cool thing.
Was there any guy that you were just in awe of, like maybe either grew up or you admired from across the other side, and you were like, wow?
No, the guys that I grew up, I was a huge Steeler fan, and so I loved the Pittsburgh Steelers. So those Steelers from the 70s, I was just in an event that I host every year, a charitable event.
10 Hall of Famers from
right.
that team now. It's unbelievable.
Oh, and I'm on a bus, literally on a bus with like Mel Blount, and Jack Ham, and John Banaszak, and you know, and I'm just in awe of, like, I told my wife, I bump into Mel Blount, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's Mel Blount, and I'm walking toward him, and he goes, hey Mark, how are you? And like, I'm like, hey Mel, good to meet you, you know, blah blah blah. And deep down inside, I'm like, Mel Blount knows my name, man. I mean, I was like giddy, and I called my wife. I was like, Mel Blount, you won't believe this. Mel Blount knows me. And she's like, who's Mel Blount? And I'm like, I don't even know you, woman. Like, don't even talk to me.
Bullet hit towards the second baseman. Former big leaguer Drew Danny fouled this man. It was crushed. Be interesting to see if they call that an error or a hit. And they're going to call that one a hit, as they should. So Chavez on at first. 1 on, none out for Kyle Kibitza. who popped out to shortstop his first time up. Skeeters are trailing 1-0 here in the bottom of the 5th, trying to get even or take their first lead. Joined here in the booth by former NFL offensive lineman and ESPN analyst, now with Fox. That is Mark Schlereth. And when you look at your son and try not to be a dad and you had to describe him to a scout, how would you describe him as a pitcher?
Well, it's changed so much. I mean, when my son came out, he's a first rounder out of the University of Arizona that threw in the high 90s. And, he's 90 consistently, 96, 99. And had some shoulder injuries and some problems. And, now his nickname in the bullpen is the spin doctor. So, always been able to spin it, but, with just overpowering fastball stuff. So, I mean, I watched him before the game. He did a tutorial out there in the bullpen. He was with about 40 minutes teaching guys how to throw breaking balls, So,
did you find out that you could give him some knowledge, when you come in and you're super talented, like you were talking about earlier in your career, then you go through injuries and you kind of have to adjust and learn how to play, much like they say a hard thrower goes from being, a thrower to a pitcher. Is there anything you kind of instilled in him now that he's gone through that same thing and he has to kind of adjust?
Yeah, we talk about it all the time, just being able to understand your body, to understand what your body can do. And then I always told him as a young player, at some point you're not going to be able to rely on arm talent. And then what happens? Well, we're figuring it out now, right? We're like, oh shoot, now that I'm hurt, it's not just arm talent anymore. So he's really at this point he's funny because he's like, I'm a better pitcher than I have ever been at any time in my life. And he goes, I'm way better right now than I was when I pitched for 4 years in the big leagues and I can't find a job.
That's unbelievable.
Right. So it's it's part of the deal. It's part of the process of maturing and growing up. And I say that they're always your kids, right? He's 32 years old. He'll always be my baby boy. So,
of course.
It just is. It is what it is. But we have these conversations about figuring out how to transition and how to change and do those things as you grow in your career.
This one is Sky down the left side. Will that stay in play? Out of our view, it is not caught in the left field corner as the grandstand blocked our view. So Cal Kibitza, former big leaguer himself, will get another opportunity. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 on, none out. Matt Chavez at first. We're joined here in the booth by Mark Schlereth. And tell us about the acting part. I got to hear this. How did you get into it?
Oh.
What did you think of it?
Yeah,
did you like it?
I've enjoyed it. I did a 2-year stint on the Guiding Light, and I got an email from the Guiding Light.
Now, I don't watch soap operas, so were you a villain? Were you the boyfriend? What were you?
I was a former cop who came into town and messed with people when they needed.
So you were a crooked cop.
Yeah,
Is that what you're telling me, Schlereth?
Yeah, I was kind of a crooked cop, but I was only messing with the bad dudes. So I was kind of a good guy.
Planting evidence on the bad guys, that kind of thing?
whatever it took. So I did
you
that.
bring this over into your regular career.
I did that for 2 years, and it was really funny because they asked me, like, hey, we really like your television presence. And then they were like, and we think you have a look for soap opera. And at that point, I was like, all right, I'm getting punked. There's a TV camera here. The guys are playing a joke on me. But I ended up doing that for 2 years. Acted in the remake of Red Dawn. And I've been on Ballers for the last 3 seasons on HBO.
This one popped up, foul territory. Third baseman Taylor Ard brings it down for out number 1. 1 on and 1 out for Anthony Jansanti.
So that
got to work with The Rock.
Yeah, oh yeah, and it's really interesting. You always wonder how guys are going to be. Guys that have reached a certain celebrity or whatever. There used to be this plaque that hung in the Broncos training room. I read it every day, even though I had it memorized. I'd walk in, I'd grab a cup of coffee, and I would read it. And the plaque stated, you can easily judge the character of man by how he treats those who can do nothing for him. And Dwayne Johnson, on a movie set, knows everybody's name. He is so kind and so gracious. And
good to hear.
He is just a wonderful human being, just a wonderful person.
You guys kind of bonding. Who's a big star at Miami?
Well,
for the Hurricanes?
You know what? It's funny because, most of us football players want to be actors or whatever. And all he wants to do is, he missed out on his life, his childhood dream of being a professional football player.
That's only because he got injured and a guy named Warren Sapp took his job.
Right. All he wants to do is talk to me about how was it playing against Warren Sapp and who'd you think about this guy? And all he wants to do is talk football.
That's awesome.
And so it's always fun to connect with those guys and to become a friend of Dwayne and some of those actors. It's to me it's a big time thrill.
Ground ball to short. Stepping on second is Lyon, the throw to first, and that'll do it. It'll go down 6-3 on the DP. Well, Mark, I'll let you get back to being a fan.
Thank you.
Thanks a ton for joining us. Former Hot Seventh tackle and ESPN analyst Mark Schlayworth. We're going to take a break. Back here in just a moment. Skeeters trailing 1-0. We move to the top half of the sixth inning. For the Skeeters, for the Ducks, it'll be 1, 2, and 3. Jordani Valdespin, Emilio Bonifacio, Travis Snyder, 1, 2, and 3. Skeeters are now 1-0, and let's have Mark Schlayworth on here. And coming back into the booth now, Ryan Posner.
I don't know how much was follow up that act. I'm cheering to see.
Well, you both preceded and followed it, so you know. You're basically a Posner sandwich.
Yeah, he asked me, "Oh, you'll give me your seat?" I'm like, "Yeah, man. You got 3 Super Bowl rings. This is your seat now."
Ground ball to second, quickly 1 down. Well, Valdespin is down, and Emilio Bonifacio will step in. He has struck out and grounded out. He's 0 for 2, and somebody had to be on the wrong end of this pitching duel. Right now, it's Dallas Beeler.
Yeah.
Beeler down 1-0 here. And really, a couple of wild pitches cost the Skeeters a run.
Absolutely. I mean, we were kind of talking about it before I left. It was going to take, you felt like it was going to be, a wild pitch or a bloop single. And we had both of them. It was a wild pitch. Drove him with a bloop single. So, got to hope the Skeeters will pick up their starter at some point.
First pitch is down low. 1 ball and no strikes to count. Skeeters, no runs on 3 hits. Ducks 1 run on 4. Bonifacio came in 8th in the league and hitting a .324 with no home runs and 8 RBIs. Swung and hit towards the right of second, backhanded by Jansanti. Tough throw to first in the dirt. Scooped out by Chavez. Great play there. And there's 2 down.
That's great, because Anthony will tell you that first. I mean, you see him with the High Sox now. He's in a bit of a slump right now at the plate. He's had it rough these last few games. When you're not being able to swing the bat, there's no better feeling than to be able to play defense like that. And that's a phenomenal play by Anthony.
Defense never goes into a slump, as they say. 2 outs and none on. That'll bring in the 3-hole hitter. That's Travis Snyder. Snyder will step in here. The left-hand hitting right fielder. 1 for 2 with a single and a ground out. First pitch here is a ball. 1 ball and no strikes to count. Well, while we're in New Britain, myself, Brett Marshall, Dallas Beeler, and Tyler Levine went to a great place called Milkcraft. So it's what's the cold? This one, a good attempt by Rondon. Slides but misses it down the left field line.
Rondon hops into the 3rd row there, too.
Fusion. What's the ice cream with, what word am I looking for? Nitrogen?
Yeah,
Nitrogen
like the
ice cream.
Oh, man. I went to a place like that recently, too. Now I'm drawing a blank. It's the carbon.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nitrogen, fusion, ice cream, whatever you want to call it. But Beeler, who didn't want to have it, had it. And now look at the day
Yeah.
he's having.
He's going to be having that every pre-start meal the rest of his career.
And Marshall just came off a good start. Maybe we'll have to get Anthony some. The 1-1. This one is a check swing down low. 2 balls and 1 strike to count here. And Beeler bought these things that he saw. I was like, what is that? They're called Dragon Balls. So you bite into it. It's almost like, it kind of has the texture of like a Cheetos ball.
Yeah.
This one high, but as soon as you bite into it, you can breathe smoke out your nostrils and mouth.
Oh, okay. Now I see that called the Dragon Ball. Yeah, he's gonna need to find a place in Houston that does the old. I could maybe hit him up with the place I was at that does the frozen stuff like that and get him on his pregame routine.
The 3-1 is low and away, ball 4, and that is the first walk in this game for either pitcher. So 2 down, 1 on now. That'll bring in Lou Ford. Ford, a tough guy to strike out, but Beeler's gotten him both times. Ford 0 for 2. Skeeters trailing 1-0 here in the top of the 6th.
I think this is the true test of where Dallas Beeler's at. Coming off the Tommy John surgery. Now the 3rd time through the lineup, he had 2 ground balls to end the inning. In the bottom of the 5th, so now he's got to work his way out of this one. But I mean, Lou Ford, tough at bat here.
I said Beeler, who's gone 60 plus in each of his last 2 games, would probably be stretched to 80, and right now he'll be at 75 after this next pitch. But no action in the Skeeters bullpen, so as long as he gets out of here, if he gets 4 out, maybe you bring him out for a 7th. But Peter Gavilia very good. Him and Corey Dummel are very good about their pitchers and not working them too hard. This one, sky to deep center, but Barnes is there in left center, hauls it in, and that'll do it. A nice job by Beeler. If that is his last inning, what a job he did. No runs, no hits, no errors, 1 man left on base. We're in the middle of the 6th. Ducks 1 and the Skeeters nothing back here in just a short moment.
Long Island's going to make a call to the bullpen here. It's going to be the 5'10", 205-pound right-hander, Dennis O'Grady, a Floral Park, New York native.
Long Island boy.
There you go, yeah. Right at the hometown. Peaked at AAA in the Padres organization. Last outing came on May 26th through 2 innings, allowed 2 hits, no runs, 2 walks, and a strikeout.
Grady will take over here for Larkins. What a job he did tonight. Let's take a look at his numbers. 5 innings, 3 hits, no runs earned or otherwise, no walks, and 2 strikeouts. What a job Larkins did. Grady will take over here with his team leading 1-0 over the Skeeters. Sugarland has some good leading men here. Speedy Alvaro Rondon, then back to the top of the order with Barrett Barnes and Albert Cordero, 9, 1 and 2.
You can make a case right now. Alvaro Rondon, maybe the hottest hitter on the Skeeters team.
No doubt.
At least one of them, that's for sure.
379 over his last 9 ball games. Yeah, he's really just hitting it a ton. You get 250 out of him with his defense.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
good to go. This one is smacked deep to left field, but right at Robert Garcia, and he'll run it down going towards the left field wall into the corner. Ground number one, and not doing even his outs are hit hard. Go back to the top of the order. Barrett Barnes will step in. He is 1 for 2. He has singled and flying into center. And I talked earlier this year to Barnes, and I've talked a lot about it, where he is a self-admitted slow starter. When you know that, what could you possibly do to try to get out of it? Because it's not an easy thing to do. You know you're going to start out bad. You're going to try everything. You're going to try different things. But what do you do to kind of get out of that early season woe every year? It must be
it's tough.
Exhausting and stressful, because you know you're going to start out slow, and then you start out slow, and it even becomes worse. It's like you start pressing at the plate and all that kind of stuff.
I think the first part of it, honestly, is like what he does. He accepts it. He knows he's a slow starter, because if you press like that and every season you get out to a slow start and you try to change too many things, Barrett, I talked to him. We did the game program starting him. I got the chance to talk to him. That's the one thing he said he really learned, is that playing the minor leagues, don't let anybody change you. Teams will try to maybe tinker with your swing. They'll try to do things. Stay with your approach, and I mean it's working lately. It's in 391 over his last 8 games.
1 ball and 2 strikes to count here to Barnes. Barnes came in 253, a home run and 6 RBIs. He knew he was going to come out of it. Just was walking a ton, leads the league in walking. Even when he wasn't hitting, he was still leading the league in walks, and his on-base percentage is over 200 points higher now, in the top 10 in on-base percentage, and really just destroying them all lately. 1 ball and 2 strikes here on number 27, our first-round draft pick, Barrett Barnes, the Skeeters center fielder. The 1-2 by the right-hander O'Grady. This one swung and a miss, chased the ball low and away. Pretty good slider there. That's O'Grady's first strikeout. The 3rd strikeout overall for Ducks pitching, and there's 2 down. So with 2 outs and none on, Albert Cordero will take his 3rd shot at extending his hitting streak to 11 games. He flat out to left, flat out to right. And the switch hitter will bat here from the left side against the right-hander, Dennis O'Grady. O'Grady gets this sign from his catcher, Ramon Cabrera. He'll set up inside to try to jam him, and way inside as Cordero spins out of the way of that one. 1 ball and no strikes to count.
It was almost seemed impossible that you'd have a hitter that was able to surpass somebody like Matt Chavez, the numbers he was having early on in the season. And we're not even through May, and I mean Coco's completely surpassed him at this point. And second in league in hitting, like you mentioned earlier, it's pretty insane.
This one misses as well. 2 balls and no strikes to count. Two outs, none on. Skeeters trailing 1-0 here in the bottom half of the 6th inning. It's like deja vu all over again, except it's going the other way after the championship 2-0 win against Larkin a couple of years ago. Skeeters trailing 1-0 here in the 6th. O'Grady kicks and fires the 2-1. This one a high chopper, artificial turf-like, and O'Grady grabs it, and he meets Cordero about 3/4 of the way down the first base line, and that will do it. 1 unassisted, a 3-up, 3-down inning, a line-out, a strikeout, and a ground-out. Well, we are through 6 innings of play, 2/3 of the way through. Skeeters down 1-0 here to the Ducks.
Dallas Beeler out of the game after a very successful outing. However, the Skeeters trailing 1-0 as Matt West now on the bump for Sugar Land. No runs allowed for West through 2 2/3 this season. Only 1 hit surrendered with 1 walk and 5 strikeouts.
Well, he will deal to 5, 6, and 7. Ramon Cabrera, Taylor Ard, and Alex Soleil. Skeeters trailing 1-0. West, who is very good in his first appearance for the Skeeters. Trying to continue it here. Cabrera 0 for 2. He has struck out and grounded out. Take a look at the numbers here on Skeeters right-hander and Dallas Beeler. 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 run. It was earned, 1 walk, and 9 strikeouts. A new season high for Skeeters hurler. First pitch is high. 1 ball and no strikes to count. The 1-0, this one fouled straight back into the net in front of us. 1 ball and 1 strike to count. Cabrera came in at .364, no home runs and 2 RBIs. 1 run on 4 hits for the Ducks, no runs on 3 hits for the Skeeters. West looks in for the side. They're going to set up inside here. And the 1-1, swung and off-speed pitch pops up left side. Cordero, Skeeters' third baseman, near the Ducks dugout, will bring it down in foul territory for out number 1. So 1 out, none on. Taylor Ard, who has 2 of the 4 hits for the Ducks. He has singled twice and scored a run, so he's 2 for 2. Just acquired today. In fact, he was activated shortly before the game. So in steps Ard.
Yeah, he's done all right in his first game. 2 for 2.
Not too shabby. I don't know if anybody can do better than former Skeeter Ray Navarro. 2 home runs in his first 2 at-bats, and actually hit a home run recently for Yankees AAA affiliate Scranton.
Ard, a Washington State University alum, 25th round pick by the Red Sox in 2013.
The 0-1 from the Skeeters right-hander. This one is swung and missed. No balls and 2 strikes to count here. West trying to get the 10th K of the day for Sugar Land.
When you're losing, it's always nice to have, I mean, I guess it's the case for winning as well, but when you're losing, you don't want to have them extend the lead. Skeeters have a bullpen that won't let that happen.
The 0-2, this one in the dirt. 1 ball and 2 strikes to count. A 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out, none on. Skeeters down to 1-0 here in the top half of the 7th inning. West looks in for the side here. Ard back in the box. See where Norris sets up. He'll set up away, and the 1-2. Swung and fouled into the net. 1 ball and 2 strikes to count remains.
Let's take a look around the Atlantic League. York defeated Southern Maryland today at home 8-5. Somerset trailing Lancaster 5-3 as they head to the bottom of the 8th inning there. And of course, here at Constellation, Sugar Land trailing 1-0.
West so far unscored upon in 3 appearances for the Skeeters. A Bel Air High School product. Ground ball to short. Rondon has it, the throw to first, and there's 2 down. 6-3 on the putout. So far, so good here for West. Matt will face Alex Soleil, who has struck out both times up, so he is glad Beeler is gone. Once looking, once swinging. So in steps the left-handed hitting first baseman. 237, no home runs, and 5 RBIs. Skeeters trailing 1-0 here in the top half of the 7th inning. First pitch high and tight. Little chin music there. 1 ball and no strikes to count.
Soleil recorded his first RBI since May 4th in Sunday's win. He went 2 for 5 against Somerset.
Swan misses inside, 2 balls and no strikes.
Graduate of St. Louis University, my personal favorite mascot in all of sports.
Why is that?
The Billikens.
What's a billiken?
I have
Is
no
it a
idea,
bird?
but it's so fun to say.
Billiken. It's not as fun as Emilio Bonifacio. The 2-0 here from West. This one fouled straight back into the net, 2-1. And West kind of has that little hesitation. He picks up his front foot, his left foot, just a bit, and then pauses, and then brings it back, but it doesn't touch, and then comes forward. The 2-1. A little bit of deception. Isn't deception the name of the game when it comes to pitching?
I would say so.
The 2-1 here to Soleil. This one high and tight. 3-1 the count. A orange moon out there tonight.
Hey, I like it. Syracuse colors.
It always comes back to the orange, doesn't it? The 3-1 from the Skeeters righty. This one swung on and popped up to shallow center field. Let's see if it is Barnes, and it will be. And a 1-2-3 inning here for West. A foul out, a ground out, and a fly out. 7th inning stretch time. Get your peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I do care if you never come back. Skeeters trailing 1-0.
Now pitching for the Ducks, it's going to be Rob Rogers, the 6', 255-pound righty from New York. He last appeared at the affiliated ball level at AAA. And this season, he has a 1.74 ERA and 10 1/3 innings pitched, 2 earned runs on 8 hits, and he struck out 15.
Derek Norris will step in against the Islip, New York native. First pitch here is a strike, 0-1 the count. Norris, Courtney Hawkins, and Dennis Phipps. Skeeters trailing 1-0, starting to get late here, bottom of the 7th. Some late inning magic by the Skeeters, and if this stays the same, we might see the 4th all-time leading save leader, K-Rod Francisco Rodriguez, in this bullpen. 1 ball and 1 strike to count. It's hard to believe a guy who was 4th all time is playing here in the Atlantic League.
Well, I mean, as Mark Slayer said it best, Atlantic League has real talent.
The 1-1 popped up, shallow right field. Out goes the second baseman Valdespin, and he'll squeeze it for out number 1. Well, Rogers gets the first batter he faces in former big league catcher Derek Norris, and Courtney Hawkins will step in. Hawkins has grounded at the 3rd and lined out to right. I once asked an Olympian, I said, how do you want me to introduce you? And I said, former Olympian sprinter, and he said, no. He said, once an Olympian, always an Olympian. I think it's the same for big leaguers when they're not in the big leagues anymore.
Yeah.
1 out, none on here for Hawkins. The cleanup hitter is 0 for 2. He has grounded out and lined out. This one popped up. This one should be over our head as Cabrera chases it towards the screen. Oh, that would have been the first room service hop ever. It was perfect. Straight up, straight down, but somebody botched it in the 2nd row. It took no bounce. Did you get it? No, I don't think he got it.
One day we're going to get one of those. It's going to be our lucky day.
No balls and 1 strike to count here.
Oh, 2 count to Courtney Hawkins. Steps back in the box.
No balls and 2 strikes to count here on Hawkins. 1 out, none on. Skeeters trailing 1-0 here in the bottom of the 7th. The right-hander Rogers delivers this one low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes to count. 1 run on 4 hits for the Ducks. No runs on 3 hits for the Skeeters. The 1-2. Swung and chopped at the plate. It's a fair ball just in front of the plate. Firing it down to first in time is the catcher, Cabrera, and there is 2 down. Let's see, how many in a row is that retired? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row retired by Ducks pitching. So 2 outs now here for the Skeeters. Dennis Phipps will step in. Phipps has lined out to left and struck out. He is 0 for 2. Skeeters trailing 1-0 here in the bottom half of the 7th inning.
I was a little bit surprised to see them pull Larkins after 5, but hey, the bullpen's getting the job done as well. Skeeters still looking for their first run.
First pitch a strike. Good off-speed pitch there by Rogers. No balls and 1 strike to count. The right-hander will kick and deal the 0-1, and this one swung and missed. Good slider low and away. Now no balls and 2 strikes to count. Looks like Hunter Savanka warming up in the Skeeters pen. The 0-2 coming here to Phipps. Swung and tap foul just behind home plate. Count remains no balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, Phipps lucky he made contact right there. He just reached out trying to protect the plate. Got the tip of the bat on that ball, keeping him alive in this at-bat.
The right-hander Rogers kicks and fires. The 0-2 is fouled into the net in front of us. Just protecting there was Phipps. Phipps, very good hitter with 2 strikes. Rogers 10 pitches, now 8 for strikes. On deck is Matt Chavez. Skeeters trailing 1-0 here in the bottom of the 7th. Rogers a long look in here on the 0-2, and a time called. I believe that was on the catcher Cabrera. Phipps waggles the bat, tapping it off his back shoulder, and now he's had enough and time called again. Come on, boys, pace of play.
Does that exist in baseball anymore?
Supposed to, between the Atlantic League and the Major Leagues, but rarely is it enforced. The 0-2, way outside, 1-2.
Did you get a chance to look at the college baseball bracket?
I did not.
Texas and Texas A&M in the same regional.
Oof.
That should be interesting.
Should be a battle right here in the front office.
Yeah.
The 1-2, way outside. He's missing by a lot. These are not good waste pitches. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Would you say Florida winning it all? Is that your pick?
No, absolutely not. LSU run-ruled Florida in the SEC tournament. Probably would have been my pick before that game, but Fleury has too many injury problems right now. They're number 1 seed, though.
The 2-2 swung and a miss, strike 3. Second straight 1-2-3 inning for the Ducks pitchers. And they'll do it through 7 innings of play. And great duel here between the Skeeters and the Ducks, but Long Island leading 1-0.
Matt West did his job. 0 runs allowed through 1 inning. Hunter Cervenka now on the bump for the Skeeters. He has a 1.93 ERA in 15 games this season. 3 runs allowed on 8 hits, and he struck out 15 through 14 innings pitched.
Cervenka will pitch to 8-9-8-1 here before Cervenka throws a pitch. Time for a little Baseball 101 with This Day in Baseball History, brought to you by Texas State Technical College in Fort Bend County. Make your own history by earning your associate's degree at TSTC. Visit tstc.edu to learn more. On This Day in Baseball History, May 29th, 2016, United States softball star Jenny Finch becomes the first woman to manage a professional baseball team when she leads the Bridgeport Bluefish to a 3-1 win over the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs here in the Atlantic League. Contest played at the ballpark at Harbor Yard. That's our look at This Day in Baseball History. Well, first pitch here by the Skeeters lefty is down low 1-0. Garcia is 1 for 2. He has singled, drove in the only run of the game, and struck out.
Always good to see some Atlantic League history.
Yeah, where do we get that from?
NationalPastime.com, I believe, sir.
I believe it's from the man to my right. The 1-0 here from the Skeeters righty. This one is swung and slash fell into the crowd right on the concourse. Look out below. 1-1 strike the count here. Last 7 appearances for Cervenka. He has allowed just 1 earned run. Skeeters lost that game. Last time against New Britain. Gave the Skeeters 4-1 win, a third of an inning. Allowed 1 hit, no walks, 1 strikeout. Faced 2 hitters. The 1-1 chop foul at the plate. 1-2 strikes to count.
Garcia spent 2017 with the Cubs single A team, Myrtle Beach.
That is a nice place.
Oh, man, I actually spent spring break there golfing. And I was expecting it to be like 80 degrees, a little bit warmer in Syracuse. It was 30 degrees the whole entire week.
Myrtle Beach, really? Wow.
They had the nor'easter come through right before. We got very unlucky.
The 1-2. Curveball on the outside corner, strike 3. What a bender by Cervenka. That is the Skeeters. Let's see here. 8, 9, 10th strikeout of the night. So 1 out, none on for Dan Lyons. Lyons has fouled out and hit into a double play, so not having a good night, has not gotten the ball out of the infield yet.
You mentioned that you had the best burger you've ever had. up on the road trip. I've actually had the best burger I've ever had in Myrtle Beach.
I don't know about best burger ever, but it was really good. And I am not a burger eater. This one is a strike. Fastball catches the outside corner. 0-1 the count.
Name of the place was Burger in Paradise. When I was
that's
passing by
that's Jimmy Buffett's restaurant.
Yeah.
Cheeseburger in Paradise, is it?
Oh, cheeseburger. Yeah, you're right.
That's the song. The 0-1. This one is a strike at the knees. 0-2.
It really exceeded my expectations, that's for sure.
What kind of burger did you get?
Cheeseburger.
Nothing else on it?
Nothing else on it. Plain and dry, always. That's my go-to.
No balls and 2 strikes to count. They will set up inside. This one swung and fouled into the net. Count remains no balls and 2 strikes.
It's crazy because this is Dan Lyons' 8th season with Long Island. You also have Cody Puckett, who's been here for 5 years, and Lou Ford has been here for 9 seasons. So you got 3 guys that have been here over 5 seasons. Skeeters do not have 1 guy that's been here for 5 seasons.
That is crazy. Although up until last year, Michael Nix had played in all 6 Skeeters seasons. 1 ball and 2 strikes to count.
Brett Marshall, who's on the pregame show today, has been here for 4 seasons now.
Well, the Ducks keep a good nucleus and try to build around it. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out, none on. Skeeters trailing 1-0 here in the top of the 8th. Norris sets up inside, and the 1-2. Swung on him, missed strike 3 as that ball fell off the table, and Cervenka comes out of the bullpen doing nothing but BBs. Strikes out the first 2 hitters he faces. 2 outs, none on. Back to the top of the order with former big leaguer Jordani Valdespin. Look at this, and this is what's great about the Atlantic League. The man on the mound, the man at bat, and the man catching, all former fairly good big leaguers. So in steps Valdespin, who has struck out twice and grounded out. He is 0 for 3.
They're also doing okay in the Atlantic League, if I do say so myself.
Not too shabby. Squaring to bunt here is Valdespin. Bunts through it for a strike. 0-1 the count. He came in as the 3rd leading hitter in the Atlantic League. 377. 4 home runs, 18 RBIs. No balls and 1 strike here on the leadoff man. Skeeters have retired 6 straight hitters. They set him inside, and this one is a chopper towards second. Jansanti to his left. We'll flip it underhand to first. That'll do it. What a job by Cervenka. 2 strikeouts and a harmless ground out. 1-2-3. Skeeters have 2 shots left. They're down 1-0. The first of those 2 when we get back here for the bottom of the 8th.
Now on the mound for the Ducks is going to be Vinny Pistano, the 6-foot, 215-pound righty from Columbus, Ohio, former major leaguer. this season. He has a 1.39 ERA in 13 innings pitched. He surrendered 2 runs on 8 hits, and he struck out 15.
Former big leaguer, spent part of 6 years in the bigs with the Indians and the Angels. 6 and 8, a 2.98 ERA, and 11 career big league saves. Well, he will face 6, 7, and 8 here. Matt Chavez, Kyle Kubica, and Anthony Jansanti. Skeeters are trailing 1-0 here in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Last year spent time in Bridgeport here in the Atlantic League. Went 1-1 with a 3.25 ERA and a save. Career in the minors, 20 and 29, a 2.71 ERA, and 101 career saves. This one is a fastball that misses outside. 1 ball and no strikes to count. And 2 seasons of 24 saves. You wonder if K-Rod will come on in the 9th to try to get a save. The 1-0, big swing and a miss here by Chavez. 1 ball and 1 strike to count. 1 run on 4 hits for the Ducks. No runs on 3 hits for the Skeeters. This one is a fastball high and outside. 2 balls and a strike here on number 16, Matt Chavez. Chavez came in at .354, a home run and 17 RBIs.
Pistano in 2014 got off to a great start with the Angels. Had a sub-1 ERA in 12 games, but was traded to Cleveland and just couldn't find his stuff.
The 2-1. This one is fouled off to the right side. He's got a good godfather named Vinny Pistano.
It's perfect for Long Island.
What are you trying to say? We're all gangsters?
I didn't say that.
You implied.
There's just it's a big Italian presence, right?
Oh, no doubt. My whole high school was Italian. Minus myself, of course. But man, when they invited you over for dinner, you're the happiest guy in the world. The 2-2. This one just misses inside. Good eye by Chavez. That runs the count full. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
I actually took Italian first semester at Syracuse. That was a mistake.
Did you ever take Spanish before? There's a lot of similarities.
I did, and actually the similarities kind of hurt me because I would keep speaking Spanish in class sometimes, and the teacher said, "Oh, no, that's not Italian."
This one is low and away, ball 4. The first walk issued by Ducks pitching all night. The Skeeters get the leadoff man on here in the 8th, trailing 1-0. Kyle Kubica will step in. He has popped out and fouled out. See if the Skeeters can mount a rally here.
Well, in order to mount a rally, you really need the leadoff guy to get on. That's exactly what the Skeeters have done right here with Chavez on first. Now you got Kubica, a guy who's been struggling as of late. Has a chance to turn it around and give his team potential lead right here if he can hit this one out.
Well, the first pitch to the left-handed hitter is slinging their sidearm for a ball way inside. 1 ball and no strikes to count. Skeeters trailing 1-0 here in the bottom of the 8th. But they have a man on with nobody out. This one swung and fouled back into our left. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Could really help Kubica get out of a slump right here. Really help his confidence if he can get a clutch hit. Get the Skeeters in business here, trying to take the lead or at least tie it here in the bottom of the 8th.
Despite the slump, still driving in runs, 3rd in the league with 22. They set up inside, and this one is swung and a miss. Great frisbee-like slider darted low and in. 1-2, swung over the top of that one. Full moon. Hasn't exactly been a crazy game.
It's not as orange anymore. It's disappointing.
They set up inside the 1-2. Swung in, hit to the right side. Backhanded, but off the mitt of Soleil. And they're going to have no play at first. He dives, but cannot get to the bag or to Kubica. That'll be 1st and 2nd, and nobody out here in the 8th.
It was a diving effort. He might have just been better off letting the second baseman have that one, but it results in a base runner for the Skeeters. There's a visit to the mound.
Kevin Baez going to come out to discuss a little strategy here. Skeeters have the perfect out to bunt. Anthony Jansanti's got plenty of speed, great bat control, and he is on a little bit of a slide, so a perfect bunt situation here. Plus you're at home, play for the win at home. Skeeters are down 1-0, biggest rally of the night. In fact, it has been so dominant by the Ducks, this is the first runner to get to second base all evening. Let's see if Jansanti does what I and everybody else suspect him to do, which is bunt you. You're struck out and hit into a double play. The way he runs, if he gets a good bunt down, he could beat it out for a hit as well. In at third is Art. Swinging away here. You surprised?
I'm not, because I think that Pete Incavilla recognizes that Jansanti is a very competitive guy, and he's going to want to win this game right here. We saw him almost hit a 3-run walk-off that was caught at the warning track last homestand. He's going to be swinging for the fences right here. We'll see if it pays off.
The 1-0, still not bunting, takes it outside. 2 balls and no strikes as Pistano is digging himself deep here.
Not a bad effort right there on that Italian accent.
I do what I can. Grew up with enough Italian to catch a thing or two. Got a lot of pasta, that's for sure. The 2-0. This one low and away, ball 3, 3-0. So the 3,823 fans here at the ballpark rooting for a walk which would load the bases and nobody out. It's got to take at least one here. Alvaro Rondon on deck. The 3-0. Jansanti taking all the way. Takes the first strike down the middle. 3 balls and 1 strike to count.
Fans here at Constellation getting loud. They realize this is the hitter's count for Jansanti. Definitely one of the fan favorites here.
The 3-1 from the righty, swung and missed. Slider low and away. Now 3-2. Would you hit and run here?
I don't think so, just because the tying run is at second base, and you don't want to risk swing and miss right here and throw him out. So we'll see, though. Pete Incavilla, he doesn't want to tie right here. He wants to take the lead.
Payoff pitch coming here to Jansanti. This one swung a little roller towards short. See if it's hard enough to get to. They won't. Speedy Jansanti and a good takeout slide from Kubica. Now the tying run 90 feet away with only 1 out. Fielder's choice. And here comes Kevin Baez. I know it's coming here. He's going to argue that the slide was too hard and it should be a double play. Well, Baez going to argue with the third base ump, which is John Sevier. I just had a feeling that was coming. Looks like they are going to talk about it here. Nope. Baez is going to lose that argument very quickly. So that'll bring in, nope, Alvaro Rondon's going to be pinch hit for. I believe this is Javier Betancourt, and it is. Smart move there. I was wondering, excuse me, Todd Cunningham, the newest member of the Skeeters, will bat here. Lefty-righty matchup, that's why he's in here, the left-handed hitter. Just joining the Skeeters today. There's a chance of a big moment here.
Wow. What a first hit this would be. The first at bat, I should say.
Sac fly would tie this game up. Cunningham, a big leaguer. Spent 2016 with the Angels. It has the period affiliated ball this year. Spent time before joining the Skeeters at AAA Charlotte in the White Sox system. First pitch a strike, no balls and 1 strike to count. This one is hit right to the pitcher. He looks back to runner at third. They go to second. That's all they'll get. Nice play there by Pistano. Now the Skeeters will now need a 2-out hit here. So 2 straight fielder's choice. This goes down 1-6. Jansanti erased. Runners on the corners with 2 outs now here for the red-hot Barrett Barnes as the Skeeters turn the lineup over and go back to the top. He's 1 for 3. He is singled, flied out, and struck out.
Barrett 10 for his last 26. This is the guy you want up right now.
A red-hot Albert Cordero on deck, should he reach. In steps Barnes. First pitch here, a strike, catches the outside corner. No balls and 1 strike. The Skeeters are trailing 1-0 here in the bottom of the 8th. to their final 4 outs, but threatening here with 2 down. Runners on the corners. Chavez at third. Rondon on at first. This one is, excuse me, that is not correct. Cunningham at the dish. The 1-1 here. He's a little bit high and tight. 2-1 here on Barnes.
Were you a little bit surprised to see Cunningham in the game right there to pitch in?
Well, you knew in this spot, Rondon, not the guy, is generally going to get the ball deep enough, so you needed a pinch hitter. And the Skeeters really don't have almost anywhere to turn. Hard to bring a guy who just arrived in for a tough pinch hit, but I think it was really your only choice. So on a strike on the outside corner. So 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2 on. Skeeters trailing 1-0 here in the bottom of the 8th. Big turning point in this game for both teams. Cordero riding a 10-game hitting streak, so far 0 for 3 on deck. See if Barnes can come through here on the 2-2. They set up outside. The 2-2 swung on and missed. Strike 3 as Barnes slams down his bat and throws his helmet. You can get thrown out for that. Cordero got thrown out for it in New Britain, but that will do it. Skeeters miss a big opportunity. First and third. 1 out. They do not score. We are through 8 innings. It is still the Ducks in front. 2-1. Excuse me, 1-0 here in the 9th.
Now on to pitch for the Skeeters. Going to be Dan Runzler, the 6'4", 210-pound lefty. Santa Monica, California, the former Pittsburgh Pirates. And this season he has an even 5 ERA for Sugarland and 9 innings pitched. He's allowed 10 hits and 5 runs, and he struck out 9.
Runzler would try to keep it 1-0. Skeeters trailing here. It'll be Emilio Bonifacio, Travis Snyder, Lou Ford. Some tough hitters, 2, 3, and 4 against the former big leaguer, Dan Runzler. So far, Bonifacio 0 for 3. He has struck out and grounded out twice. First pitch here, a strike on the inside corner. No balls and 1 strike to count. Just 7 hits between these two teams tonight. 1 run on 4 for the Ducks. No runs on 3 for the Skeeters. Last time out for Runzler at New Britain, and the Skeeters 9-3 win in the finale. 1 inning, no runs, no hits, 1 walk. Did not strike out about it. Now gone 7 straight appearances without allowing a run. This one a little low. 1 ball and 1 strike to count.
So Bonifacio's first career Major League home run was an inside the Parker on opening day in 2009. How about that?
I was looking at that earlier today. The 1-1. This one is high and outside. 2 balls and 1 strike to count. He got everything on that first swing of the bat. First RBI. That's crazy. This one is a little bit low, 3-1. And actually set a modern Major League record as well with 9 hits in his first 2 games of the regular season in 2014. Only 4 men in Major League Baseball history collected at least 4 hits in their first 2 games. A 3-1, a strike, 3-2. Ira Flagstead, oddly enough, 1926. Showboat Fisher, 1930. Wade Boggs in 1994, and Dante Bichette in 1998. 3 balls and 2 strikes to count here to Bonifacio. This one swung on and missed. Strike 3 as Runsler strikes out Bonifacio in the battle of former big leaguers. 1 out, none on here for Travis Snider. Snider has singled, grounded out, and walked, so he is officially 1 for 2. Snider came in 227, 3 home runs, 17 RBIs for the left-handed hitting right fielder. Skeeters trailing 1-0 here in the top half of the 9th. There's one a strike. No balls and 1 strike. Looking ahead to the 9th, it'll be 2, 3, and 4 for the Skeeters. They have the hitters they want up. Cordero, Norris, and Hawkins. And first, Runsler has to get the final 2 outs here. Check swing a little bit low. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out, 1-0 Ducks here in the top half of the 9th. Lefty-lefty matchup here for Runsler. This one misses a little bit high. 2 balls and a strike. Take a look at the repertoire here on Runsler. Fastball 92 to 95, a changeup and a curveball for Dan. The 2-1. Swung and missed, 2-2. Healthy fastball there by Runsler. 93 miles an hour. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Runsler, one of 6 players that we get to the big leagues after playing here for the Skeeters. One of them his teammate who just preceded him. That is Hunter Cervenka, also Tim Stoffer, Jason Lane, Scott Kazmir, and Ryan Langerhans. And second straight 3-2 count on a batter here. Will be a payoff pitch coming here to Snider. Setting up outside is Norris. Payoff pitch swung and fouled straight back. Missed the target there. Snider was all over it. Now he will see a 7th pitch here.
Travis Snider just has 5 strikeouts in these last 11 games. That's after 23 in his first 17. So really starting to get some better at-bats here.
Shortened up his swing, I suppose. The 3-2 swung and foul back again. So we will see an 8th pitch.
You talked about kind of surprised to see K-Rod. I'm really surprised to see Travis Snider here in the Atlantic League. This is a guy that was one of the Blue Jays' top prospects and did really well at first with the Blue Jays. Hit .301 in his rookie season.
A lot of great players. The guy behind the plate for the Skeeters, Derek Norris, one of those guys. All these middle-type free agents. This one is a ground ball past the mound. Charging is Jan Anthony, gets past him. Maybe an error on Anthony. Played it off to his left, charging to his right. See how they score that one. 4-0 on the board. Ford will come in with a man on. Ford has struck out twice and flatted to left. He is 0 for 3. Still no ruling on that last one. Linsep's Lou Ford, always a danger. And they're going to call that an error, an E4. You'll look around the Atlantic League scoreboard. All the other games final. Road Warriors beat the Bees 9-8. York, the defending champs, beat the Blue Crabs 8-5. And Lancaster wins, unfortunately, 5-3 with Somerset. So the best the Skeeters can do is come back, win, and still remain 1 game out. Good hack by Ford. Fouls it straight back into the screen, down 0-2. Skeeters 1 game behind the Barnstormers. The Ducks 4 games behind the Patriots. The 0-2 coming here to number 2-0, Lou Ford. Runs or looks at first, but comes home. That's when swung and hit sharply to short. Looks like making up for his chance. Anthony goes second for one. The relay to first. Arata making the error. He redeems himself immediately and turns it into a 4-6-3 double play. Last chance for the Skeeters. They need one to tie, two to win. Bottom of the ninth. When we come back, they're down 1-0 to the Ducks.
You may have heard of the guy into pitch now for the Ducks. That would be Francisco Rodriguez. The Francisco Rodriguez, a 6-foot, 195-pound righty from Venezuela. One of the greatest closers of all time in the major leagues. This season for the Ducks, he's pitching very well. 1.29 ERA in 7 innings pitched, 5 runs allowed. There's going to be 5 hits allowed on 1 run, and he struck out 6.
K-Rod will pitch to 2, 3, and 4 for the Skeeters, who are down 1-0. Albert Cordero, Derek Norris, and Courtney Hawkins. If Cordero's not get a hit here, his 10-game hitting streak will come to an end. First pitch by Rodriguez is inside. 1 ball and no strikes. Only 6 players in baseball history have ever gotten 400 or more saves, and he is 4th on that list. Mariano Rivera at 652. New Hall of Famer Trevor Hoffman at 601, as this one is swung and missed 1-1. Then Lee Smith at 470, and then Rodriguez at 437. You got to think he would want to get back to the big leagues to try to get over that 500 mark. He'd be 3rd all time and probably gets him into the Hall of Fame. But 63 more saves. Got to get back to the big leagues first. Not an easy chore. This one misses 2 balls and a strike here. A lot of people don't know he was also in his rookie year part of the 2002 Angels team that won the World Series. He pitched very effectively in the playoffs. The 2-1 to Cordero. Swung and hit right back to K-Rod. He joggles it, picks it up, throws it to first. And there's 1 away. Skeeters down to their final 2 outs here. So 1 out, none out for Derek Norris. Norris has faced him in the big leagues. Should be a good matchup here. 2 former big league all-stars going at it in Norris and Francisco Rodriguez. Well, in steps Norris, who is 1 for 3, has one of the 4 Skeeters hits. They're down 1-0 here in the bottom of the ninth. Both teams with 4 hits apiece. In steps Norris. First pitch to Dino. This one is low and away. 1 ball and no strikes to count. Rodriguez gets the sign here from Ramon Cabrera. Cabrera's going to stay away here. And the 1-0. This one swung and fouled into the net here. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out, 1-0 Ducks here in the bottom of the ninth. Skeeters need 1 to tie and 2 to win. Rodriguez, of course, what made him most famous, set the single season save record, 62. That was in 2008, broke Bobby Thigpen's record of 57. First guy ever and only guy ever to get to 60. He had seasons leading up to 2005, 45 saves, 2006, 47, 2007, 40, and then 2008 he had 62. The 1-1. This one is low and away, 2 balls and 1 strike. So after he saved 62 in 2008, he does not have another even 40 save season until 7 years later in 2014. Had 44, 38, 44, and then last year just 7. Battled some injuries. The 2-1 from the right-hander. This one high and outside. Right now consistently in the high 80s. That last pitch at 88. 3 balls and a strike here to Norris. 247, 3 home runs, 17 RBIs coming in for Derek. This one swung and hit toward third, backhanded behind the third base bag by Ard to toss across in the dirt, but scooped out by Soleil, and the Skeeters down to their final out here, down 1-0. Ensep's Courtney Hawkins. Should be a pretty good battle of power between the former All-Star closer and the league's leading home run and RBI leader. That's Courtney Hawkins, 250, 7 home runs, 28 RBIs. Both lead the Atlantic League. He is 0 for 3. He's grounded out twice and lined out. K-Rod, a 6-time All-Star. His 17th year as a pro. This one is in the dirt. Goes back to the screen, 1 ball and no strikes. Mentioned he got into the bigs his first year in 2002, won the World Series with the Angels. That was just at 20 years old. Only pitched 5 2/3 in the regular season, but they decide to carry him on the playoff roster. Pitched very well. The ALDS against the Yankees, he was 2-0. This one is popped up into shallow right center field. This could fall in. Reaching for it is the second baseman, Valdespin, and he grabs it for the final out. What a play by the former big league second baseman on the pop out going out towards right center. Thought for sure it was going to fall in over his head, and that will do it. Skeeters go 3 up, 3 down, and lose the opener 1-0. Let's take a look at the final numbers here. Finals numbers, they look like this. 1 run, 4 hits, and no errors for the Ducks. No runs, 4 hits, and 1 error for the Skeeters. We're going to take a break. We come back, have our player of the game,